Hello everyone, Conrad here and welcome back to the Commonwealth Realm. Since the reveal of Breath of the Wild's sequel, many of you in the comments have suggested that Breath of the Wild could turn into a trilogy, with the original, its sequel, and an unknown third game spanned out over a decade of wild adventures. We like this idea and we think it is possible, but while exploring its potential and probability, we came up with a different one that might actually be true. Namely that Breath of the Wild, instead of being the origin story, is the mid-game which is building up to the end game, the resolution to the Miser's Curse. By that way of thought, the origin or beginning is none other than Skyward Sword, and in this Zelda Theory we will explore how this is hinted to in the games and has clear traces within the Zelda team itself. But first, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to push us over 250,000 subscribers, less than 3,000 left to go. Now then, let's get inside Breath of the Wild's trilogy like never before.
To understand Breath of the Wild, you need to know the game's director, Hidemaru Fujibayashi. A storyteller, a rebel, and surprisingly to some, a Zelda veteran director with over 20 years of experience in writing and directing Zelda titles. First at Capcom, and then after the expiration of the Zelda Nintendo Capcom contract under series producer Eiji Aonuma in the Kyoto Zelda team. After finishing their first common project, Phantom Hourglass, both Aonuma and Fujibayashi were proponents of rewriting parts of Zelda's origin story for its 25th anniversary, and likely with the rest of the Zelda team, organized all the Zelda stories up to that point into the official timeline we know today, the one that ties every mainline game in the series together. It was a very ambitious vision, which however did bring up some challenges, as many of the new ideas being written and programmed into Skyward Sword had never been addressed in past Zelda titles, taking place further down in the timeline after Goddess Hylia's demise and the hero's origin story. There could only be one solution in order to bring the ancient technology and everything else they had worked so hard on back, a game so far into the future that we pretty much reach the Kingdom of Hyrule's end times. Breath of the Wild Hyrule, where the Kingdom of Hyrule has fallen like never before, and the only thing left is to destroy the curse established in Skyward Sword.
We have referenced this in previous videos, but Hidemaru Fujibayashi likes his stories to connect and challenge established conventions. It is just that his ambitious projects take very long to make and shape to a product that pleases the master of Zelda story writing and world building. That is why his projects during his time at Nintendo only come out on average every 5 years or so, since they need to be masterpieces in every way, but also because Fujibayashi and Aonuma have plans to reinvent Zelda. But first, they need to conclude what they started with Skyward Sword. After giving Zelda the origin story it deserved, it's now time to give it the ending it needs. Originally, this idea was supposed to be spanned across two games, Skyward Sword and Breath of the Wild, one telling the story of the beginning of the Miser's Curse and the other of its end. But since Breath of the Wild's DLC 3 was scrapped, this story of two has very likely now become a story of three, a complete trilogy. You see, Fujibayashi in the last decade has not worked on any other Zelda projects except Skyward Sword, Breath of the Wild, and now its sequel. It is obvious that these three games are his babies, and that he will not exchange for any other Zelda projects and definitely not divert his attention. He has no doubt his priorities set, and is determined to conclude what he set off with from Skyward Sword, the premise of the Miser's Curse and hatred, the blood of the goddess, and the spirit of the hero. Which brings us to the point that we will stick to for the rest of this video, namely Fujibayashi's emphasis on the Trinity within the world of Zelda. The source of this theme is naturally the Triforce left behind as a relic by the three golden goddesses, Din, Nehru and Farol, the goddess of power, wisdom and courage.
Until Skyward Sword, these along with Ganondorf, Zelda, and Link were the only Trinities in the Zelda franchise. Or actually not, as Fujibayashi and his Zelda team at Capcom, in their first project, Oracle of Ages and Seasons, expanded it to that of Fire, Time, and Secrets. It's just that their original plan of a Triforce of games with 3 different games, requiring to all be linked to getting the true ending, was scrapped, and Furore, the Oracle of Secrets, did not get her own game. now it looks like Fujibayashi is once again trying to finish a Triforce of games, but instead of launching them all at once like Capcom tried with the Oracle games, spread them out over a decade and across 3 systems: Wii, Wii U, and Nintendo Switch. You will hear the number 3 a lot in this video, because now we are going into the meaning of the 3 games. First out, Skyward Sword, the creation of the curse that would be Ganondorf, Ganon. What many tend to forget about Skyward Sword is that this game isn't about Goddess Hylia or the first Link, but rather Demise and Girahim, the tale of the servant who goes through time to revive his fallen master. And for once in the Legend of Zelda series, the hero actually fails after believing that evil has been destroyed, and it has all to do with the ending after beating Skykeep. Since after Link used the reassembled Triforce to destroy the imprisoned Demise once and for all, what did Girahim do? He didn't accept defeat, but rather waited for Zelda to be freed from her own seal, and then presumed to knock out everyone to bring Zelda through the gate of time to the past. Who had the final laugh? Girahim. Link followed and interrupted the ritual of sacrifice, but despite beating Girahim, who had the last laugh again? Girahim, who was reunited with his master Demise. Then Link went after Demise, defeated him in the final confrontation, but despite winning the first battle, failed to prevent the long war that Demise's final words ultimately led up to.
Demise has the final laugh. His curse has been cast, and from Ocarina of Time, Ganondorf and the Boar of Ganon will plague Hyrule until the end times. Skyward Sword is the story of power and the origin story of the rise of evil and power in the land of Hyrule, which is inseparably tied to the curse cast by Demise on the blood of the goddess, aka Zelda, and the spirit of the hero, Link. After setting up the eternal battle between Demise and the goddess and her chosen knight, the thread is picked up again in Breath of the Wild, with Calamity Ganon being directly tied to reincarnating hatred, just as Demise promised at the end of Skyward Sword. Zelda inheriting her divine power through her bloodline, and specifically from her deceased mother, and Link being chosen by the Master Sword, or Fi, as he's the new vessel of the spirit of the hero. Breath of the Wild is the story of the owls and Zelda's awakening, and the Sheikah's victory over the Calamity and preparation for the final battle that awaits. In other words, wisdom represented by the goddess and her mortal bloodline descendants, the Divine Blue, and her chosen people, the ancient Sheikah, which together with Zelda pulled a great victory over the puppet of evil, Calamity Ganon.
The goddess statues, the ancient technology, divine beasts, and guardians are all ties to the resilience of the Zeldas and the ancient Sheikah to never let evil win on a permanent basis, despite its constant resurgence through Demise's curse. The rise of the true hero of Hyrule and Calamity Ganon's fall opened up the path to the source of the cursed Ganondorf, and with it, Demise's hatred. A battle that the very end of DLC 2 tested us for, and which was supposed to take place in DLC 3, but was correctly turned into a sequel. At this moment, I want to once again go out from what is in the game, to look back at Fujibayashi and his curse of not getting a third title in the Oracle Saga. Back then on the Game Boy, Capcom couldn't deliver a game for each of the Oracles, but I believe when the situation was once again about to repeat, by not getting the third title to conclude the tale of power, wisdom, and courage, the rise of the boar, owl, and dragon, the demon tribe, the Sheikah, and the Zonai, and being forced to finish it within DLC 3. It is entirely possible that Fujibayashi demanded that the amputated situation from the Capcom years was not repeated, and that he and his team got the Breath of the Wild game and the third game addressing Demise's curse to bring everything full circle. That is to say that Fujibayashi gets to finish what he started in Skyward in a third game. Hence why it is possible that we could get Skyward Sword HD in 2020 to let people play through it and Breath of the Wild again before the big finale in Breath of the Wild sequel. Which brings us to the third and final game of the trilogy to Demise's curse, Breath of the Wild 2. The story will be all about the virtue of courage, the dragon, the Zonai tribe, and the spirit of the hero. Another story-heavy tale to finish the saga of Demise's hatred, the blood of the goddess, and the spirit of the hero.
In this video we will not speculate about how this conflict will be resolved, we already have one about that one, but rather to prove the point that Fujibayashi has been slowly but surely building up to this climax, a resolution ever since he was writing the story for Skyward Sword, and was outlining the official Zelda timeline with Eiji and Numa and the rest of the Nintendo Zelda team. But do you agree with our presentation of this trilogy consisting of Skyward Sword, Breath of the Wild and Breath of the Wild sequel, or do you think that Breath of the Wild in itself was the beginning of its own trilogy of games? Before you answer that question though, I have a big announcement to make, as this video marks for the grand return of Jason Dameron, aka the voice overlord, to our channel. However, this time not only for our in-depth timelines and theories, but rather as my co-host who will help us surpass new heights from 250,000 subscribers and beyond. As you always do, give him a warm welcome in the comment section down below, and for anyone wondering, Leo will from next week go over to appear in our reviews and also appear in videos for games where he has much more knowledge than me, Jason or Donnie. So if you're excited for this future of me and Jason as your permanent hosts, then be sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the Commonwealth Realm, press that shiny notification bell, and for all notifications to not miss any of our upcoming videos with Jason Dameron, the voice overlord. Finally, a big thanks go to all our patrons who make it possible for us to acquire Jason Dameron's excellent services for our channel. If you want to help us bring the voice overlord for as many videos as possible, be sure to head over to patreon.com/commonrealm. I and Jason couldn't be more excited, but until our next videos, why not enjoy one of these two awesome videos?